Welcome back, everyone, to the place where English lives through stories, and stories live through you. Today, we're not just telling a life story, we're peeling back the layers of a man whose name echoes through the halls of Hollywood, but whose soul was shaped in shadows far from the spotlight. This isn't just about movies or fame. It's about pain that never made the headlines, love that left scars, and a quiet strength that never asked for applause. This is Al Pacino. Not the icon, the human being. In 1940, in East Harlem, New York City, a boy named Alfredo James Pacino was born to Sicilian-American parents. After his parents divorced, he and his mother moved to the Bronx. In the noisy, crumbling buildings of the South Bronx, young Sonny, as his friends called him, discovered two escapes: the streets and the stage. Pacino would often mimic people in his neighborhood, developing a gift for impersonation. While his friends played ball, he imagined being Shakespeare's kings. His mother, Rose, a devout supporter of his talent, bought him play scripts instead of toys. His father, a restaurateur in California, was distant but admired from afar. Pacino dropped out of high school at 17. He took up odd jobs: janitor, busboy, messenger. But in the evenings, he studied acting at HB Studio under legendary teachers. He slept on friends' couches and even in theaters. For a time, he was homeless, wandering with one goal: to become an actor. His life changed when he was accepted into the famed Actors Studio, where he studied method acting under Lee Strasberg. Strasberg saw the raw fire in Pacino, an emotional depth few had. Pacino began learning to channel pain into art. Strasberg would later act alongside him in The Godfather Part 2. Pacino's first notable stage role came in The Indian Wants the Bronx, winning him an Obie Award in 1968. Critics saw something dangerous and real in him. His stage presence was magnetic. He became known as the theater's best-kept secret. In 1971, he played a heroin addict in The Panic in Needle Park. His performance was so gripping, so raw, that it caught the eye of director Francis Ford Coppola. The world didn't know it yet, but Al Pacino's life was about to change forever. Coppola fought tooth and nail to cast Pacino as Michael Corleone in The Godfather, 1972. Studio executives hated the idea. Pacino was unknown, short, and intense. But Coppola saw genius. The first film made Pacino a star. By The Godfather Part 2, he was a legend in the making. Despite brilliant roles in Serpico, 1973, Dog Day Afternoon, 1975, and Justice for All, 1979, Pacino was repeatedly nominated for Oscars but didn't win. The press called him the greatest actor never to win an Oscar. Pacino buried himself in his work, resentful but determined. In the early 1980s, Pacino struggled. Films like Cruising and Revolution flopped. Critics turned cold. He became disillusioned, retreating from Hollywood. Rumors of heavy drinking and depression circulated. He disappeared from the public eye, battling personal demons. In 1983, Pacino returned as Tony Montana in Scarface. Critics dismissed it initially, but over time, the performance became iconic. Lines like "Say hello to my little friend" became pop culture legend. He had reinvented himself as a cult hero. In 1992, after 8 nominations, Pacino finally won his Oscar for Scent of a Woman. His fiery portrayal of a blind colonel gave him the validation he never openly sought. "Hoo-ah" entered American vernacular. The Academy had finally bowed to the legend. In 1995, Pacino and Robert De Niro faced off in Heat for the first time on screen. It was a cinematic event. Pacino's energy versus De Niro's stoicism. Two titans, one unforgettable scene in a coffee shop. A masterclass in subtlety and power. In later years, Pacino began mentoring young actors, often returning to the stage. He saw acting as a sacred craft. He directed, taught, and advocated for theater. "The stage is the actor's cathedral," he would say. In 2019, Pacino reunited with Martin Scorsese and De Niro in The Irishman. The film used de-aging technology to allow Pacino to play Jimmy Hoffa across decades. Even at 79, he radiated intensity, reminding the world he hadn't lost a step. Never married, Pacino fathered 3 children. He kept his private life hidden, avoiding Hollywood parties and fame. "Fame is not who I am," he once said. Friends described him as introspective, gentle, and fiercely loyal to the art. With a career spanning over 50 years, Pacino received the AFI Life Achievement Award, the National Medal of Arts, and the Kennedy Center honors. He became more than an actor. He became an institution, a myth, a legend carved from pain, perseverance, and pure talent. Al Pacino didn't just act, he became. He took method acting to places few dared go. Every grimace, every whisper, every explosion on screen was rooted in truth. He left behind a blueprint not of fame, but of greatness. Fame never comforted Pacino. While other stars indulged in luxury, Pacino often chose solitude. He lived modestly for years, often staying in small apartments, spending evenings alone with plays and film scripts. The higher he climbed, the more isolated he became. "I don't live in Hollywood," he once said. "I live in me." Pacino viewed acting as oxygen. It wasn't a profession but a state of being. He often rehearsed lines while walking the streets of New York, disappearing into his characters long before the cameras rolled. "It's not method, it's madness," he joked once, "but it's mine." Pacino's close friends describe him as shy, gentle, even awkward in private. But the moment he stepped onto stage or set, he transformed into a force of nature. That duality, timid man, explosive actor, became his artistic signature. It wasn't a performance. It was possession. He obsessively prepared for roles. For Serpico, he followed real detectives for weeks. For Dog Day Afternoon, he studied the real-life bank robbers' tapes. He turned down dozens of high-paying roles simply because they lacked truth. He believed acting without passion was fraud. Pacino famously turned down the role of Han Solo in Star Wars. He declined Pretty Woman, Kramer vs. Kramer, and even Die Hard. "I didn't understand the script," he admitted about Star Wars. His choices baffled studios but kept him loyal to character over commerce. Pacino never married. He had long relationships with actresses Diane Keaton, Beverly D'Angelo, and others. Keaton once said, "Al was the most entertaining man alive, and the most impossible to live with." He cherished love but feared loss. Commitment wasn't his weakness, expectation was. His mother, Rose, passed away when he was 22. Her death devastated him. He often said, "She was my first audience." Every award he won, every triumph he tasted, came with a whisper of her absence. He carried her memory like armor and a wound. Though constantly compared, Pacino and Robert De Niro shared deep respect. They weren't rivals, they were parallel legends. They rarely appeared together, but when they did, it was seismic. Off-screen, they shared meals, jokes, and admiration. "We came from the same blood," New York theater, Pacino said. In the 1990s, Pacino launched a passion project, Looking for Richard, a documentary blending Shakespeare's Richard III with real-world commentary. He wanted to make Shakespeare accessible to all. He believed the bard belonged not in ivory towers, but on the streets. Unlike many old-school actors, Pacino adapted. He embraced digital filmmaking in The Irishman, joined streaming platforms with Hunters, and lent his voice to animated projects. He knew the world had changed, and rather than resist, he reimagined himself within it. Despite his stature, Pacino faced financial issues due to poor management. In the 2000s, he quietly sued former business associates for mishandling his funds. Yet he never flaunted wealth, never chased luxury. To him, success was measured in roles, not riches. Pacino was not immune to bad reviews. His late 90s and early 2000s films received mixed feedback. He was accused of shouting too much, of overacting. Instead of lashing out, he studied the critique. He once said, "Critics remind me that the fire must never be tamed." For decades, Pacino dreamed of playing King Lear on stage. He rehearsed it privately. He studied it. But he hesitated to perform it live, fearing he couldn't meet its magnitude. Some say this unfulfilled dream haunted him more than any failed role. Pacino became a father late in life. He had twins with Beverly D'Angelo in 2001 and a son with Noor Alfallah in 2023 at age 83. He embraced fatherhood with a quiet pride, determined to give his children the grounded presence he never had from his own father. His gravelly voice, once soft in youth, became a thunderous trademark in age. Imitated by comedians, adored by fans, it became part of his legend. Every hoo-ah or whispered threat carried years of pain, grit, and truth. He didn't speak lines, he detonated them. Pacino won every major award: Oscar, Emmy, Tony, Golden Globe. Yet he claimed his greatest honor was performing live. "Theater is church," he told young actors. "It's where I feel closest to God." Film gave him fame. Stage gave him meaning. Even in his 80s, Pacino refused to retire. "Actors don't retire," he said. "They just stop getting cast." He acted not for fame, not for money, but because it was the only thing that made sense in a chaotic world. Art was his compass. Pacino doesn't walk into rooms, he reshapes their gravity. Young actors like Timothée Chalamet and Adam Driver call him a godfather of craft. Directors still chase him, despite his slow pace and eccentric rituals. Because when he's on screen, the world listens. Pacino once said, "When I die, they'll carve my name in the brick of Broadway, but I'll still be rehearsing my next monologue in the afterlife." Even if he never acts again, the echo of his performances will continue to teach, inspire, and haunt. If you enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, and share.